Hey guys, this is Mr. Lauer here. You have an assignment from the day 3 lesson, so this will be on. You'll do this on day 4. Turn this in on day 4. This is called truth tables. Now, if you haven't seen the notes from class, or if you weren't here in class, you should go back on the day 3 post in Canvas and get a copy of those. It was a guided notes, and so there was like some fill in the blanks and stuff. But I've posted that there for you with the blanks filled in case you missed. I also posted a couple videos for you on kind of the basics of truth tables, and this you kind of need to go back and know those basics before you can do this assignment. As we do this assignment, we're going to need to know a couple different what we call operators, logical operators. Okay, there's this guy, which means opposite or negation. There's this guy, which doesn't have a. Looks like an A, but it doesn't have a little line through the middle. This is the AND operator. We say not. This is how you say that is not. And then you have the OR operator. Okay. And then you have the conditional operator. All right, so if you don't know how those work, I would go back and check those notes, read through those notes, and check those videos, because we're going to use those as we go here. Okay. The first one we have is this. You would say this P or not Q. Okay, so this is or and this is not, so there's a couple things going on here. When we have a statement that has a bunch of other pieces to it, we usually want to list those pieces out. So we start with P and Q. Now, pretty much every truth table that has two statements in it, P and Q, will start with a P and a Q. And you basically want all the different combinations of those two statements, or the truth values of those two statements. So P, you put true, true, false, false. Q, you put true, false, true, false. Okay. Now, the order that these columns go in doesn't really matter. So in the videos, there's like a few examples here, and I think they may put like the not Q in between, and it doesn't really matter. But basically, we have two statements, and they can both be true, or the first one could be true and the second one could be false, or the first one could be false and the second one is true, or they could both be false. That's usually where I start. Okay, now let's talk about the not, right? The not operator is basically like opposite of what we have here. So if we have Q, we're going to need not Q. The not Q column is the exact opposite of the Q column. So false, true, just the exact opposite. Okay? Then we have the OR operator. Okay, so this is OR. So we have P and we have not Q. So we're basically going to be looking at these two columns here. And the OR operator combines two statements. Oops, sorry. That's the wrong one. We did this one. P and not Q. Sorry, we're going to look at those two. The OR operator combines two statements, and it's true as long as at least one of those statements is true. So we're looking at these two columns, not these two, these two. And we're looking for at least one true. So true, false, there's at least one true, so we put true. True, true, there's at least one true, so we put true. False, false, there's not a true there, so we put false. And then false, true, there's at least one true. So we're good. Okay, so that's kind of how we go about that one. All right, let's take a look at another one here. This one was in the notes, so I'm just gonna, if you want to get that one, you can go back and look at the notes, and or also the second video that I posted. That one's in there. But this operator here is the conditional operator. It's like if P then Q, and that has some special rules to it that you can kind of learn about there. But let's do this one, because this one has more pieces to it, right? So again, you see there's a P and a Q. We might as well just start with those statements P and Q and then kind of change them as we go. So true, true, false, false, true, false, true, false. Okay, the not Q column, just like we did before, is the opposite of the Q column. So that would be false, true, false, true. Okay, and then this guy has kind of a special rule, I guess, to it. The rule here is that when you're looking from the hypothesis to the conclusion, the only time you're going to get a false with a conditional is if you have a true for the hypothesis and a false for the conclusion. Okay, that is going to lead you to a false. All right. Now, the thing is, you have to pay attention to the columns that you're working with, okay? So we're comparing this column and this column, P and not Q, and we're comparing them in this direction. So this is the hypothesis, and this is the conclusion, and we know it's going to be false in this situation, okay? So if the hypothesis is true and the conclusion is false, that is our one false. Everything else is good. Those are all going to be true. In the notes and in the second video that I posted, they talk about the conditional operator as almost like a contract or an agreement. And so the only time you're ever going to get a false is if the hypothesis is true and the agreement is like on, and then somebody doesn't follow through on the agreement. So, or if you have a contract and the terms of the contract are met, but the follow-through doesn't happen, that's kind of when the contract is violated. So, again, that's kind of in the notes and back in a video. Let's do a couple more of these, okay? So here, let's do number 5. Again, we're going to start the same way. These all kind of start the same way. True, true, false, false. True, false, true, false. Just the different combinations of values for those two statements. Okay, now in this one, we're going to need a not P. So we need the opposite of the P column. So not P is just the opposite of these values here. So false, false, true, true. Okay. Now we need this guy. This is the AND operator. Okay. The AND operator is when it combines two statements. So in this case, we're going to combine Q and P. And the AND operator makes a true statement if if both of those statements are true at the same time. Okay, so we're looking at the P column and the Q column, and we're trying to make sure that they're both true. So they're both true here. That means this compound statement is true. They're not both true here. They're not both true here, and they're not both true here. Okay, so that's the AND operator. And basically what we're doing is we want the truth table for this guy. Really, that's just our last column, right? But we have to kind of build the sections as we go. So we start with the basics. We do any negation columns that we need. And then we start doing like anything in parentheses, right? So now we have this thing and this whole thing. Those are the two columns. We can really only compare two columns at a time, so we have to do this in pieces. So now we're looking at the not P column, and we're looking at the Q and P column, and we're going to combine them with this operator, which is the OR operator. Okay, so this one's the AND, this one's the OR. Okay, and remember that the OR operator combines two statements, and that statement is true if one or the other or both are true. So we're looking for at least one true. And for this column, these are the two columns that we need to look at. So do we have at least one true? Yes. Do we have at least one true? No. Do we have at least one true? Yes. Do we have at least one true? Yes. Okay, so you just kind of build your way up there. All right, let's look at the backside here because there's a backside, so don't forget. Let's do this one because this is kind of long. So we have basically an OR statement here, we have an AND statement here, and then we have an AND in the middle. So before we can write a truth table for this whole thing, we need to get all the pieces together. Okay, we start with the truth values of the two basic statements. True, true, false, false. True, false, true, false. All right, so at some point we're going to need a not Q. So let's take the opposite of that Q column again. F, T, F, T. Okay, and notice that part of the big statement here is P or Q, right? It's in parentheses. So I got the basic letters down. I have all the negations that I'm going to need, not Q. And then I'm going to start doing stuff in parentheses to get those bigger chunks. So let's look at this chunk. P or Q is what that means. So we look at the P and the Q column. Okay, and again, we're looking for the OR operator combines the two statements, and it's true if at least one of the original statements is true. So is at least one true? Yep. Is at least one true? Yep. Is at least one true? Yep. Is at least one true? No. Okay. Now we have an AND operator with the P and not Q. Okay, so here's P. Here's not Q. Those are the two columns we're comparing. And the AND operator combines two statements, and it's true if both of the statements are true, both of the substatements. So we're looking at these two guys, and we're looking for two trues. So they're not both true. They are both true. They're not both true. They're not both true. Okay, so that's that column. Okay, now I'm going to put it all together, right? So I want to do the AND operator with this statement and this statement, and I already have columns for those. So now I'm looking at these columns. I want to take these two columns and do the AND operator on those two bigger statements now. Okay, remember the AND operator is going to look for two trues. Okay, this statement is only true when these two statements are both true. So do we have two trues? No. Do we have two trues? Yes. Do we have two trues? No. Do we have two trues? No. Okay, so that's the combined statement there. Now this has a lot of applications like in circuit design, in computer science. Basically you can think of these two P and Q, these statements as like wires, and true and false would be like if they're on or off. We talked about that in class, but if you weren't here, you missed that. And also this is kind of the basis for a lot of computer science. When you have computer science, you use logic to branch around in a program. And this is kind of a way to map out what's going to happen in your program for different cases. So it looks kind of abstract in this case. In your notes and in the videos there's some more concrete examples to help you tie this to the real world. But right now we're just kind of practicing with the operators and what they do and building truth tables. Okay, so I hope that helped, and we'll see you next week. Thanks.